starts right now. Welcome to The Football Fever. I'm Dave Holmes, joined by Kellyanne Stitz and former Buckeyes, Jay Richardson, Obi Stillwell, and Ben Buchanan. What a great opening video we had there.
Yeah.
And it's no longer relevant because we begin this morning with breaking news. UCLA will be without starting quarterback Nico Iamaleava today. He suffered a concussion in last week's loss to Nebraska and could not get cleared in time to face the Buckeyes. That means backup Luke Duncan, who has never thrown a collegiate pass, will have to lead the Bruin offense against the #1 defense in the nation. What could possibly go wrong? All right, Jay Rich, let's start with you. Your thoughts on this breaking development.
First things first, your opening monologue there. L and UCLA, very petty stuff, David.
That probably still remains true.
Second
today.
thing, Nico, I won't even say his last name. Nico not being there, I think my man's got a little PTSD from being in the shoe at a night game previously and getting his helmet cracked. I think that had a little bit to do with it. You got a new guy coming in, Luke Duncan. Same height as Nico, about 6'6", different skill set completely. This is a pocket guy, and I think their offense looks completely different, and I don't think they know what it's going to look like, and I don't think it matters because it's UCLA. I'm sorry.
Well, Jay, you talked about him getting his helmet cracked the last time he was at the shoe. Guys, he's been taking a lot of hits this season. He was sacked 22 times this year, 3 against Nebraska. Obi, I kind of want to talk about this. When it comes to him, he's a dual threat. He runs the offense. But again, he's not a big guy. He's tall, but he's not a built guy. Taking a lot of hits like that. Concussions should be taken seriously, right? So if he's exhibiting symptoms of that, we should, not play that down. But at the same time, when you look at the head coach and making decisions, you don't want to lose this guy for the rest of the season, try to risk anything against the #1 team in the defense. So now you're going to trot out the backup who, as Dave mentioned, has never thrown a collegiate pass, barely seen any time playing in a UCLA jersey. I mean, do you think this was – man, talk about the psyche of this quarterback right now against the #1 defense in the country.
Right, yeah. I mean, what a way to start. And at the end of the day, if you look at this guy, he got a scholarship for some reason, right?
True.
He has to be pretty decent, right? But to start against the #1 defense and play in the horseshoe, that's a lot to ask.
At night.
At night. There we go. Right, that's a lot to ask. But at the same time, next man up, right?
Right.
This is why he came to college. This is why he wanted to play. He may not want to play right now. He might want to say, hey, maybe start me with a mid-major school or something like that. But at the end of the day, I think, hey, we know what's going to happen, but I don't think it would have been much different if Nico would have played.
Obi, I like positivity, man. I'm a positive guy. You know that on this show. I got to be real with you, though. You're entering the Matt Patricia #1 defense in America. We're talking about 7.2 points per game, 211 total yards per game, right? You look at that 7.2 number, that's a wide margin even between the #2 defense in America. By the way, it's Indiana. I know we need some things to happen. We're hoping to see them in the Big Ten title game, but they're at about 12 points per game. So this amazing defense that he's put together, this is going to be a really uphill climb for this quarterback.
Yeah, 3-star quarterback rated in high school, again, because he's no college tape. As Jay mentioned, 6'6", he's a big guy, pocket passer. But Jay, also, with psyche of him going back to that, man, are you shaking in your boots? Or you're trying to hype yourself up like, I'm going to go try to prove something today?
Sure.
Well, you're in a situation where you're going against, as my colleagues have said, the best defense in the country.
Right.
What are you going to do? I think it's the offensive coordinator's job to build an offensive package around him that makes him feel comfortable. So you're going to have a couple go-to throws, look for them to hit the edges on some quick little screens, get his confidence going, get him feeling comfortable in the game, get that defense moving around, and try to make this interesting for, I don't know, a quarter and a half before the onslaught begins and things just take over, because UCLA's defense is just not good. And you got Ohio State and those demons on the edges for them. It's going to get ugly.
What is the name of the person who's the last pick of the NFL?
Mr. Irrelevant.
Mr. Irrelevant. He is Mr. Irrelevant right now. And I think he's going to actually use that
as motivation.
As fuel and motivation in this game.
Well, it should still be an uphill battle for him today as the Buckeyes look to remain undefeated in a rare November night game at 7:30. Ohio State has played in just 5 November night games under the lights of the shoe, all of them wins. They rolled Illinois 55-14 back in 2014, generating nearly 600 yards of total offense. A year later, they got past Minnesota 28-14 in a tightly contested game before beating up on the Cornhuskers in 2016. Fans would have to wait another 4 years until their next night game in November. This time it was Rutgers on the wrong end of a 49-27 beating, and then in 2023 the Buckeyes took down the Spartans 38-3. Ben, Big Ten games are traditionally played, especially this time of year, at noon in the afternoon. With these West Coast teams, do you think we're going to see more of these night games? Because for you, when you played, you weren't playing in a night game in November.
I was not. I think we're going to see it as just a necessity, right? You look at the travel coming from West Coast to East Coast, and obviously these new Big Ten teams, right? You're talking about UCLA, who we're seeing today, USC, Oregon, and Washington. I think this is great for the game. But as Kellyanne mentioned there, I remember back last, I think close to, right, November night game that I remember playing. It was a cold game. It was Halloween. For some reason, I don't know what it was. If there was a rule, guys, when I played at Ohio State, you were not allowed to have Big Ten night games in November. And so, of course, they pushed the limit. It was October 31st, Halloween. We played at TCF Bank Stadium. It was the first year they had moved from, I believe, the Metrodome in Minneapolis, right? And it was a freezing game. I mean, 20 degrees. I don't know what's going on out there, but it seems like it's just not as cold these days in November. I walked in my car, didn't have to have a jacket today. It's 60 degrees, and so I think it's going to be fine tonight. But interesting to see, how things are moving with these November night games, and maybe it's a result of some West Coast teams joining the conference.
Well, and let's even zoom out there. It goes beyond November traditionally. So in the open video, I said that this is the first time UCLA has played here since 1999. If we go back to that game in 1999, that was the 78th year of Ohio State football in the shoe. That was only the fourth night game, period. Wow. I'm talking September, October, November, December. Obi, my man, is old enough to remember when the shoe was basically Wrigley Field. They didn't play night games. Everything was a matinee.
I think I played in the first night game. Actually, I think it was against Washington.
There you go.
Really?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So a night game in November in Ohio would traditionally entail, as you guys mentioned, that colder temperature, maybe some inclement weather. Temperatures today especially aren't that bad, upper 50s, even when the sun goes down. Not the same conditions that we saw when the Buckeyes hosted Tennessee in December, when it was that bitter, bone-chilling temperatures out there. Oh, they sure did. And
How'd that work out?
Right? But hosting a team from California in a night game in November in Ohio, Obi, I mean, that could provide some added home field advantage, right? At least mentally.
Yeah, I think mentally. I mean, UCLA is going through such a transition right now. There are so many things that are moving that they wish were more stable. The weather, of course, it would be good. It's good for them as far as UCLA coming to Ohio, because you would think, traditionally, hey, listen, it's November. You guys, get ready for this cold weather. I guarantee you they've been talking about this for a long time.
Yeah.
So that it's 60-degree weather plus, I think it's a plus for them.
Bad.
But it's also a plus for the Buckeyes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it feels like backyard football weather.
That's right.
And I think these guys are going to have a day.
And Julian Sayin's just going to sling the ball over the place, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is also a unique matchup, though, if we look at the head coaching battle. From the coaching perspective, this is the second time in just a month that OSU will play a team with an interim head coach. Remember, James Franklin got the boot at Penn State following that disastrous early season run. That meant the Penn State came to town. It was Ryan Day against Terry Smith, who served as Franklin's associate head coach and the cornerbacks coach since 2021. Similar story today for UCLA. The Bruins started the season with their former running back Deshaun Foster on the sidelines, but he was fired after the 0-3 start to the season. That meant Tim Skipper stepped in as interim head coach after previously serving as a special assistant to Foster to start the season. So, Jay, I know you played for the Raiders, and one of the things about playing for the Raiders is every now and then we're switching a head coach. Back in 2008, Lane Kiffin was fired. Tom Cable was promoted. So you've lived this life. What happens inside a locker room when you go from head coach to interim coach?
So first things first, when you play for, at that time, the Oakland Raiders, you're going to get a few different head coaches over the course of about 3 years, which is what we had. Our initial coach was actually Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin. Lane drafted me, and I do love Lane, fantastic coach. He just was not, he was the youngest coach in NFL history at that time. He was not prepared for that situation, and that's not really on him. It's the Raiders. It was a crazy organization. We had guys going at it in the locker room. We had coaches fighting one another. Tom Cable punched out one of our DB assistants, Randy, and parlayed that.
Spilling all the tea.
That's why you tuned into Deep Football Fever.
The team was all over ESPN.
Right now, the HR department in the Raiders is like.
So Coach Cable, Tom, parlays that into a head coaching gig and eventually becomes the head coach of the Raiders. And in the locker room, it was like it split the team into factions because you had Lane guys and then you had guys. Cable was the offensive line coach. Offensive linemen really liked him. So you had cable guys. And I think that sometimes can cause a rift. And then other times it can galvanize the locker room if the head coach was somebody that was not beloved, like, oh, I don't know, the guy from LSU, Brian Kelly. And when he leaves and now the non-beloved guy leaves, the locker room can get galvanized sometimes. So it can go one or two different ways. It'll be very interesting to see how things go for not just Penn State, but also UCLA. And you'll find out how teams feel. UCLA, caught a little bit of fire afterwards. So, maybe galvanize them. I don't know, but I just think it's a very difficult thing to navigate.
I did have a quick exchange with their athletic director, Martin Jarmans. I wanted to reach out to him and maybe have some type of dialogue and conversation. He said, listen, I'm not having any conversations right now as we try to make sure that we find the right head coach for our program. He caught a little fire. I was looking in the LA Times back in October. They were looking at a team of over 1,000 petitions were signed to fire him.
Wow.
And because they felt that the culture was not representative of UCLA. So there's a lot of stuff going on in this program right now, and coaches changing is just the tip of the iceberg.
Well, I'd say Obi's got that 256 gigabyte iPhone for his contacts. My goodness. Just texting random aid. All right, well, we're just getting started here on The Football Fever. Coming up next, we have an interview with running back Bo Jackson, how the true freshman has emerged as the lead dog in that running back room. More Fever coming up next.
Welcome back. The Buckeyes have a packed running back room this year with 4 guys getting considerable touches on the ball. C.J. Donaldson continues to be the team's short yardage and goal line specialist. James Peoples, he's seen limited action but has shown his versatility catching passes out of the backfield with more than half of his snaps coming on passing plays. And freshman Isaiah West has seen his snap count increase as the season goes on. But the leader in this room is the other freshman. Lamar Jackson Jr., better known to Buckeye fans as Bo Jackson, has burst onto the scene as the Buckeyes' top running back. I got to know Bo a little better this week and asked him how it feels to be the leading rusher for the top-ranked team in the country as a true freshman.
Oh yeah, it's pretty much literally a dream come true. I've been dreaming about it since I was a kid.
What has allowed you in your preparation to get the trust from the coaching staff
to carry the ball?
Just trusting in them, listening to everything they tell me and taking in what they tell me and buying into what they say.
How has Coach Locke unlocked your potential?
Yeah, he done worked me really hard. He worked me hard, got on me about all the little things, so yeah.
How have your other teammates, James People, CJ Donaldson, how have they helped grow your game?
Oh yeah, they helped a lot. They helped me when I first got here, just mentoring me and taking me through the process.
Do you remember when you scored your first touchdown, who was there to help you celebrate it?
Oh yeah, all the guys, the whole offensive line, everybody was teed up, happy for me.
And what will it take for you to keep elevating your game this season?
Oh, the same stuff I've been doing. Just keep working hard, keep my head down, and keep working hard.
Are you named after the legendary athlete Bo Jackson?
Yeah, you can say that. My dad grew up a big fan of him. So.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Do you get that a lot?
Yeah, I do.
Do you have any other nicknames on the team?
Nah.
No, just Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
But you also, I was reading your bio, you also played baseball. What position did you play and how was your game?
I played center field and pitcher.
And how has your family, how have your parents supported your football career?
Oh yeah, they supported me a lot. They're very proud. They tell me all the time how proud they are of me and how hard I work.
And just to get to know you a little bit better, Bo, I know you don't have a ton of time outside of football, but in the summer and the off season, what do you enjoy doing?
I'm a big gamer. I play a lot of Warzone, a lot of 2K.
Well, he's also a gamer on the field, too. Through 8 games, the Cleveland native has carried the ball 95 times for 613 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, 3 total. He's also averaging nearly 7 yards per carry and has 3 games with more than 100 rushing yards. And Dave, he'll continue to pad his stats today against UCLA.
Yeah, and we always have to give this disclaimer, all right? He played baseball. He's a running back named Bo Jackson. No relation.
Not the same.
No
Not
relation.
the same.
We have to say it every single week. It's crazy, though. Okay, but this has been fluid throughout the season, guys. Looks like Bo is officially your #1 option in the backfield. But it began as a 2-headed monster this season with James Peoples, CJ Donaldson. Then Bo got explosive in there, and it was too much for the coaching staff to ignore. So, Obi, what do you make of the way this running back room has shifted over the course of the season?
Yeah, you know what? I almost say, you know what, coaches, finally. I mean, you know what? You finally see that I was right. I don't know. Do they watch Football Fever or what? But I've been saying that Bo Jackson was RB1 for a long time. Here's the thing. Let me tell you, you young kids out there, listen to this. It's all about how you go out of bounds sometimes. When I'm looking to see if a running back has that dog in him, I'm wondering, how does he run once he gets to the sidelines? Is he trying to get out of bounds, or is he violently attacking the defensive guy? And this guy is run. Look at that. Look, he's a violent runner. That's why I knew he was RB1. Talk to me, Dave. Come on, man. I knew it.
Obi had it first. Obi bought Bo Jackson's stock back in August. All right, but running back isn't the only position group. It's seen some shuffling here. It's interesting. A lot of movement on the O-line, specifically right guard. Tegra Shabola, Josh Padilla splitting reps at that position. Here's what Coach Day had to say about those changes earlier this week.
We feel like splitting the reps can help them, all those guys, become more efficient. But we're going to keep evaluating, keep pushing on it, and see where we go. And a big part of it is how healthy Josh is.
All right, Ben, a lot of shifting along the line, primarily due to injury.
Yeah.
Sometimes the best ability is availability.
Exactly.
What do you make of the changes here on the O-line?
Yeah, that's a good quote, and I think that's true. When you come to Ohio State, it's no good if you're on the bench, right? But we're seeing a lot of shuffling this year. These guys, first and foremost, guys, you know it better than anyone. These are the unsung heroes of the Ohio State football team. You're in the trenches, whether it's offensive or defensive line. Just impressed with the way that these guys are playing. My only question, though, to Coach Day and the guys is that does it affect the synergy, particularly what we're seeing in the run game, right? We haven't seen that we're seeing Bo Jackson start to emerge, but it's been kind of a running back by committee, right? And so while we're keeping guys fresh, has it affected a little bit of the synergy for these guys to impose their will on the run game? That would be my only question in looking at this.
Yeah, because no position, matters more as far as cohesiveness than the offense line. Absolutely. Big unanswered question here, though, with all this tinkering by the Buckeyes coaching staff is why. Okay, after today, 2 regular season games left, Rutgers, and then the big one up north. So, Jay, why are we seeing the Buckeyes tinker so much as we're getting closer to the end of the regular season?
Fantastic question, Dave. Now, there's a few different theories out there right now. You know, when you look at last season, there was a lot of O-line shuffling, but it was all because of injury, and they still weren't able to win a national championship. There was not too much running back shuffling. You had 2 absolute monsters in Quinshawn and Travion. This season's a little bit different, and I think Ohio State, started off trying to find its identity as a football team offensively. You knew what the defense was going to be. Offensively, you were going, okay, there's no more Chip Kelly. You don't have your run designer, and you're trying to to figure out, can Brian Hartline be that guy, and can they get the run game going? It never really looked exactly how they wanted it to look, and so you're shuffling running backs. I'm with Obi. You see something in Bo and Grambling, and you go, you know what, that might be the guy. You give him more feeds. He emerges as probably RB1. I think in high leverage moments, he will be the guy. But to Ben's point earlier, the offensive line shuffling, and when you heard Ryan Day say there, we're going to keep evaluating. When you hear a coach say, we're going to keep evaluating, he's putting pressure on his guard, Tegra. He's saying, hey, Tegra, man, I'm going to keep rolling this guy through here if you don't start getting nasty and putting your hands on people and getting aggressive at the point of contact. And that is what coaches will continue to do throughout the season to keep guys engaged in the competition of football. It's actually a good thing for the playoffs.
Yeah,
Long season.
Yeah,
Long season.
There was one play last week against Purdue where they threw a screen, and Tegra looked for someone to block, and there was no one. And the guy made a clean tackle, and I was like, oh, Tegra, Josh is going to be in there before you know it. Yep. You know, sometimes the stats lie. We take a look at the state of the Heisman race and why some critics say it's all about who's more popular when the fever rolls on.
Mendoza in trouble. It's out. Touchdown! Wow! A walk-on play. Unbelievable. Give him the Heisman Trophy now.
All right, a bold statement from Gus Johnson, Indiana's Fernando Mendoza, having himself a Heisman moment after leading the Hoosiers on a game-winning drive against Penn State with 0 timeouts in Happy Valley. Now, for many, Mendoza is the current Heisman frontrunner. The 6'5" gunslinger has put together an excellent season so far, throwing for over 2,300 yards and 26 touchdowns. But that last-second touchdown against Penn State overshadows a generally poor game from the Hoosiers, in which Mendoza had only thrown for around 200 yards and an interception up to that point. Kellyanne, this isn't the first time Mendoza's had to bail out this team late in the fourth quarter. Do you think these moments are really tipping it in his favor for the Heisman?
Well, Fernando Mendoza, he did have a Heisman moment there, and also credit to that wide receiver in the end zone to make that toe-tapping catch. That was a great moment. So he had a Heisman moment, but Julian Sayin is having a Heisman season this year. Look, guys, he leads the nation completion percentage and QBR. He's had 6 games with more than 300 passing yards and has thrown for 24 touchdowns compared to 4 interceptions. He's completing over 80% of his passes. He's been consistent this year in his first career start at Ohio State, leading the #1 team in the nation. He has better numbers overall than Mendoza, and I'd argue the best ball out of any quarterback in the country. So I believe that he is going to continue to add to this incredible campaign where he'll end up in New York City, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's hoisting the trophy. Now, he still has yet to have maybe his Heisman moment, which I'm sure we'll see. But to me, it's the consistency. He's having a Heisman season.
Yeah, you had mentioned here. Now, as for the other Heisman hopeful we're talking about, Julian Sayin, he hasn't had maybe the Heisman moment so far. But, Obi, what does it matter when Sayin's putting up a Heisman-type season, as Kellyanne talks about? The question, should voters be more concerned with stats, or is it just these electrifying last-minute plays you're talking about?
Well, listen, let's just deal with this electrifying last-second play. Doggone it, I'm tired of this, okay? Because it was the wide receiver that bailed him out of this.
Yeah.
Talk about it, Obi.
I mean, he should have said that was the Heisman moment for the wide receiver, not the quarterback that almost threw the ball out of the end zone. That's what happened, and had to come down with one toe, right? Good thing he didn't clip his toenails, or the game would have been over.
Fair enough.
Right? So at the end of the day, I'm looking at the consistency. What you're saying, Kellyanne, what you're saying, Ben, is the consistency. It may not be sexy what Julian is doing every single game, but guess what? He's leading the #1 team to hopefully a Big Ten championship and a national championship, and he is, I believe, the most valuable player in college football.
And he could have that moment in a couple of games here, which a lot of people will be looking at for him. And for Mendoza, he's supposed to be making those plays on those game-winning drives, right? That's what your starting quarterback should do.
And does he get credit? Does Julian Sayin get credit for not digging his team in a hole?
Totally, yep.
Right? So it's tricky. It's tricky, y'all.
First-year starter Julian Sayin, right? Remember, he had the competition with Lincoln Keenholz. To think that he's in the conversation for a Heisman Trophy,
incredible,
pretty amazing. First-year starter right here. All right, for more on the Heisman race, let's send things over to Dave and Jay, guys.
Okay, so if Fernando Mendoza wins it, all right, that receiver who made the catch there, Omar Cooper, they should have shared custody of the Heisman. Like, they should go every other weekend with that, because that was his moment. All right, so one of the big knocks on the Heisman Trophy, though, is that it's a popularity contest, Jay. Critics often argue media voters are more influenced by a player's star power. I would also argue that sports media has a regional bias, us included. So, Jay, what do you make of this idea that Julian Sayin needs that Heisman moment, and you can't win a Heisman by just pounding teams by 30 every week?
Oh, unfortunately, Dave, you are right. I have to disagree with Kellyanne and Obi. As much as I love them, you got to have a big moment. That's just, people remember things in snapshots of moments. Okay, we are in the social media era where you have to have a moment that everyone can repost. And there is no real moment for Julian because they're just so damn dominant. Ohio State is just so dominant that they haven't been in a competitive enough game to where it forces Julian to have a gut check moment where he makes some dramatic play that really pushes the boundary and wins the game. And Jeremiah, does what he does. Listen, they do it every week. They're winning by 2 and 3 scores, and I don't think he'll have an opportunity to have a real Heisman moment, Dave, until maybe the Big Ten championship. We all have to look ahead and assume it's going to be Ohio State and IU, and you're going to have Mendoza, and you're going to have Sayin, and maybe IU's defense shows up enough to make it a back-and-forth game, and then we can have a Heisman moment for Mr. Sayin, and I think that could be something that could be huge.
I know Ty Simpson at Alabama would disagree, but I would love, man, put the Heisman at the 50-yard line of Lucas Oil and say winner takes all today. That's what I want to see.
That's what it's going to be. And by the way, Mendoza will be a top 5 pick. The dude's going to be the first quarterback taken, the most talented prospect in this year's draft. So I think that's giving him a little bit of juice too.
Yeah, unbelievable season for Fernando and Indiana. Coming up after the break, we'll consult our coaching crystal ball. There are some major head coaching jobs out there, and many fans are worried Brian Hartline will throw his hat in the ring. Is this the OC's last season in Columbus? That's up next when the Fever rolls on.
Welcome back to the Football Fever. In this week's J&G Pepsi Fantastic Photo of the Week, we're highlighting Buckeye fans' love of the national championship. It's a trophy Ohio State is looking to retain this year and give the fans more to cheer about and love up on there. Great picture. Now, contending for a national championship is certainly one of the many major draws, not the major draw for players deciding which team they should play for. Another big factor, of course, is the coaching staff, and Ohio State has some of the best coaches in the nation. One of those being offensive coordinator Brian Hartline. But guys, there's talk that his time in Columbus could be coming to the end at the end of the season. His name has been linked to many of these major openings, including Penn State. Ben, we won't beat around the bush here. Do you think that this is Brian Hartline's last season in Columbus?
Yeah, as a Buckeye fan, I hope he stays, guys, but I really do believe this is his last season at Ohio State. It pains me to say that, and that's just a testament to the excellence of coaching of Brian Hartline, right? I mean, you've seen him work his way up through the ranks at Ohio State masterfully, starting on kind of the support staff, working as the wide receiver coach, getting those co-offensive coordinator duties, kind of taking a step back with Chip Kelly, learning, and now he's having the chance this year. But at the end of the day, when you talk about recruiting excellence, development excellence, retention, connects well with student athletes. I mean, he's proven at a high level that he can absolutely do this. And listen, he's built up almost this mystique as this wide receiver whisperer, right? Or this wide receiver guru. And it when you look at the resume that's behind it, let's just go through it quickly, right? Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jackson Smith and Jigba, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Emeka Egbuka. I mean, it's just first rounder, elite after elite. And this is just what he's built, right? So when you're a great coach in college football and you're sitting at that assistant level, at that offensive coordinator position, it's not surprising that perhaps a Penn State or another school might come calling. Now, will it be the right fit? That remains to be seen. And what we're seeing today, which is interesting in major college football, it's more a CEO head coach, right? Brian Hartline has proven he's one of those guys likes to get out there and show them the crisp route running and watch the film, et cetera. But will he kind of progress and excel in that CEO head coach? And that's something that remains to be seen, guys.
Well, getting this promotion as offensive coordinator is certainly helping his chances. And you just highlighted his incredible work. Now, there are those talking heads out there that say that if Hartline goes, then the Buckeyes will lose out on their ability to recruit top-tier wide receivers. Now, this is no knock on Brian Hartline, as you highlighted, who he's brought to this program. First rounder after first rounder. He is an incredible recruiter, and if he moves on to a head coaching position, I'm sure he'll still be involved in developing those wide receivers. But Ohio State also has that brand power. As much as you want to keep the band together, right, especially if they run it back, if he moves on, I mean, do you feel like Ohio State will start losing out on these top-tier recruits? Because also before those guys and before Brian Hartline, they still had great wide receivers who played at Ohio State.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you look at from Chris Carter to Joey Galloway to a number of great wide receivers. I'm interested. Is he really ready for this head coaching position? Now, it sounds good. I remember when Hartline was coming out of NFL, wasn't sure what he was kind of going to do. He was suiting up as a practice player for the Buckeyes practice team, and then kind of moved his way into coaching. So I think it's been awesome to watch his journey. Is he ready to be a head coach? I'm not really sure. Will Ohio State be impacted negatively? I don't think so. I think Ryan Day has such a rhythm when it comes to this team. He has such an autonomy when it comes to this program. He's going to find the right person. We were obviously everyone was shocked on Matt Patricia. Where did that come from? I guarantee you, Ryan Day was thinking about that beforehand, a long time. While everybody's celebrating the national championship, he's putting his ducks in a row. And I think that shows for a lot of things, a lot of success, right? If you're thinking a year ahead versus 10 years ahead, most successful people think 10 years ahead, not just a year ahead. So I think we'll be just fine.
And that's a good mark of the CEO, right? As we talked about the head coaching position.
Guys, the interest is there, too. I mean, it was widely known. I mean, he interviewed for the West Virginia position at the end of last year. And so it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out.
Saying Brian did?
It's documented. I mean, he did interview for West Virginia, and so he's obviously has interest out there. And listen, when you're a leader, you're highly competitive. You want to be the guy, and I think he, might take a swing.
When I talked to Urban Meyer too, who's very high on Brian Hartline, and I'm sure everybody will be happy for him to take that next step as well. And as you mentioned, Ryan Day, I'm sure, is working ahead too to make sure that he brings in somebody else. But Jay, Ohio State, they've been gaining some continued momentum on the recruiting trail, coming off of a national championship and the dominance that they are having this season. They've been able to flip a series of high-profile commits to Ohio State, including Legend Bay this past week. Jay, are we seeing the beginning? It kind of feels like that Ohio State is on the edge of becoming that new Alabama.
So here's what I said not even a couple months ago. This was during the playoffs when Ohio State was coming down the stretch of the season, and I said to myself, man, I said it on camera, actually here, on The Fever. I said, you know what, Ohio State, if they can knock down this first national championship, and this was January of this past season, I said they're set up. They're set up to make a run for about 3 to 5 years where if they can continue to get these high-profile recruits, if they can continue to keep the bones of this football team's coaching staff intact. And when I say the bones, I'm not talking about coordinators. I'm talking about Coach Mick Moriarty. I think he is the spine of this Ohio State team, and he is the DNA of how this thing is all built. And I think it all stems from him, one of the few guys that was there during the entire Urban era into the Ryan Day era. And as this thing progresses, Ohio State is set up beautifully. You got some recruits flipping. You expect that when you're the top team. But Ohio State has a beautiful marriage of you're not only the top program that is paying money, you're also one of the biggest brands, if not the biggest brand in college football.
Yeah.
So that's going to neutralize any recruits that we're going to lose because of Hartline, maybe possibly, being progressed out of the program. No, this is Ohio State. They're still going to get the best, and they're still going to be in a position to, I think, guys, if they win this season, now you're looking at the golden era of Ohio State football.
Am I being petty when I hate to be compared, when Ohio State could be compared to Alabama?
No,
that just burns my craw. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I hate to burn your craw this morning, but they're on the precipice of becoming the next consistent powerhouse.
Can you explain
I'll tell you that
to
break.
us? We'll explain that one coming up, but it's a portrayal that hurts just a little bit more than usual. The bulletin board material comments made by a former Buckeye that makes them sound a little bit like some SEC bandwagon fans. We'll explain coming up after the break.
To me, the ACC and the Big Ten are way more comparable than the Big Ten and the SEC. Wow. That would be an actual...
Really?
Yes. Wow. Comparable.
Wow.
Let me ask you, Mr. Wow. Is the Big Ten
I'm
closer?
not going to let that one go by. These last 2 weeks, dude, the ACC, they just... they've disappeared.
They've chewed themselves up.
You take Clemson and Florida State out of the ACC discussion, below 500. I don't know. I think the Big Ten is closer to the SEC.
I'm going to have to completely disagree with you on that one. You talk about all the turmoil in the that's going on right now with the ACC, with two of the top favorite teams to play for the championship both lost last week.
Yeah.
You talk about a team like Clemson, who was supposed to be a national championship contending team, have lost. We're talking about Miami, who was supposed to be a national championship contending team. I think they're out of the top 15 rankings right now. You said they're comparable to the Big Ten. Not a chance. No team in the SEC, ACC can come in and even give a competition to Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana. I would even put USC up there.
And
Iowa as well. Michigan, I think will go and just run through the ACC.
Yeah, that is from the latest episode of The Script, wherever you get your podcast. Joey Galloway, that's former Buckeye Joey Galloway, giving us bulletin board material this morning, saying the Big Ten is more comparable to the ACC than the SEC. Obi, your thoughts on what one of the greatest Ohio State players of all time is saying?
Joseph.
Looking at this camera right here.
You know what I'm saying? No, come on. Like, let's be honest. I don't know where that came out. I don't know if he would repeat that on a one-on-one conversation. I don't know if that just came out of nowhere. But Herb Street's reaction lets you know what the whole country, at least Big Ten country, would feel about that.
I think everyone has fever here, too.
It's weird to hear him say that because of the talent and the way, if you just, I don't know if he has amnesia or what, but do you remember that Ohio State just beat Texas, right? Just beat Tennessee on the way to a national championship. So it throws me off. I think it's great conversation material, but the relevance of it, the validity of it is out the window.
Kellyanne's generation would call this rage bait. That's what the kids are calling it.
Is that what you're doing, Joseph?
Bait.
Yeah, he's rage.
Trying to get the clicks, trying to get everybody to talk about it.
So the other bulletin board material this week comes from Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin. He said Texas A&M deserves to be #1 overall. Now, Cardell and Beanie both disagree with that on our podcast. Kellyanne, your thoughts on Lane Kiffin beating the drum for the SEC?
I think there's some SEC bias there.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah, you think just a little bit. I think he also likes to have a little bit of, I think he's also rage baiting there too. And he also likes to be in the headlines, right? Now look, Texas A&M, the Aggies, they're undefeated in a strong conference in the SEC. I agree with Herb Street there that the Big Ten is more comparable to the SEC. They've had some great big wins, ranked wins, but the College Football Playoff Committee, they all consensusly, they all agreed, a unanimous consensus that Ohio State is the #1 team. They are the most complete team in college football. So I think right there is just some SEC bias.
Yeah, okay, so for more on this whole ACC struggles, we're going to send it over to Ben and Jay, but I do want to throw this in there, guys. The Duke Blue Devils are 5-4. They control their own destiny in the ACC right now. Wow. Duke at 5-4. What are we doing, Joey Galloway?
We're going to talk. Man. We'll break it all down. We talk about it. All right, so as we take a look at these rankings heading into Week 12, the top 4 remains unchanged. Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, and Alabama all earning first-round byes. But we do have some new additions to the top 12. Jay, what do we like and what do we dislike here with this bracket?
All right, so first things first, I like seeing South Florida. I think they've got some tough wins. I also like their head coach. We all know that. Georgia at 5, we're all comfortable with. Bama has really seen a resurgence. These last 6-7 weeks have been playing some good football, but that loss to FSU, ACC team in the basketball conference, it just did not look good. Still don't like that. A&M I love. I think A&M's right where they belong. Obviously, Indiana, Ohio State, you got to beat the man to be the man. They will be one until anything changes there. Texas Tech benefits from being in the Big 12. We all know that, and I think Texas Tech has a nice pathway to be able to get in. Ole Miss is going to be in an interesting situation, and Texas will be in an interesting situation. Texas, as we all know, has a couple really, really tough games coming up in Georgia, and then they still play Alabama. So that's going to be interesting, and if those things cancel out, they will upset the balance of the SEC, which is what we all want to see. We want to see SEC chaos. SEC really wants to get 6 teams in. It's not going to happen, Ben. There's just no numerical chance at it, and I don't really think Miami is even relevant anymore. I know.
They disappoint us.
I'm sorry,
often,
Joey Galloway, you're going to hate me, but listen, the ACC's best team is no longer relevant, and it's actually embarrassing. Notre Dame has Pitt today. Pitt 7-2, Notre Dame 7-2. That's going to be an interesting matchup because even though Pitt has nothing to lose for their conference, I think they could upset the balance right there with Notre Dame. So a fun week of football, and I think it all shakes out right. The committee did things right for right now. We all know things are going to balance themselves out soon.
We love the moving and shaking, and we are seeing it this year. Quickly, your thoughts, though, with Joey's comments. You agree with
I got to agree with Obi. You know, when I heard Joey's comments, my first thought was, is he recording this from in Ohio? We all know Ohio legalized recreationally. Perhaps he's just high. and if that's the case, man, it's okay, brother.
Like, where's he going with this?
From time to time. You know, come on back to us, Joey. Come on back.
All right, Joey, you heard it here on The Fever, man. Now, after your time is up at Ohio State, it's time to head to the bright lights of the NFL. And for us Buckeyes, those lights aren't bright enough. We give our top picks for the former Buckeyes putting together standout seasons in the NFL when the football fever continues.
In this edition of Prime Sportsbook Picks of the Day, we're going to have a little bit of fun here. I want everyone on set to pick a former Buckeye who's having the best NFL season so far. And there are dozens to pick from.
Plenty
They're
to choose
dominating
from.
Sundays. Jay, let's start with you.
You know, everyone's going to right away think about the players and the players that are balling and having great seasons. And, of course, every single player for Ohio State who's in the NFL right now is having a great season. I'm thinking coach. I'm thinking Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots. You got to realize that the Titans last season were 1-8. Mike Vrabel is now with the Pats, and the Titans have gone off the rails since Mike Vrabel left them. He goes to the Pats. Now they're 9-2. Drake May is playing the best football of his career, and he has infused that entire team with his personality. And Obi, you know Mike, man. Mike is a nutcase, man. This dude is insanely competitive. This dude used to come in the offseason when he was in the NFL and race all of us, like me, Bobby Carpenter, AJ. He would race us and win a lot of these races because the dude is a psycho. And when you have a psycho as your head coach and he's a former player, he gets a different kind of respect from those guys in the locker room, and that galvanizes football teams, and they are kicking butt right now. Tops in the AFC.
Imagine being the Tennessee Titans and thinking, you know what would fix us? Let's get rid of the former coach of the year and start. Unbelievable. Obi, who do you have?
Win for the Patriots, though.
Great pick, by the way, Jay. I went with Emeka. I mean, with Tampa, he's having an amazing season. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I did not expect him to blow up in the NFL like he has done. Yeah. But it is so fun to watch. He's at 40 receptions, 677 yards, 6 touchdowns, and the way that he does it, and he's such a class act, man. I really like him.
Yeah, and right now he's the runaway betting odds favorite to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Kellyanne.
Kind of piggybacking off of Jay, I'm going with our guy Travion Henderson, Patriots running back who's having a heck of a season. Back-to-back games with 2 rushing touchdowns, and he caught a touchdown against the Jets on Thursday Night Football. 147 yards against Tampa Bay, a career-high 19 carries against the Jets on Thursday for 62 yards, 31 receiving yards. Trey, go off, man. So happy for him.
You're not supposed to lose your job because of an injury. Ramondre Stevenson better get back on that field soon. We've
Trey
seen the
is
Patriots
making the most of his opportunity.
Promote guys in the past, Mr. Tom Brady. All right, who do you have?
His speed is elite, and we're seeing that at the next level. Guys, Jack Sawyer's having an amazing year starting off here. And think about going from Pickerington to Pittsburgh. That connection's pretty cool to see. But really, the situational pressures, he's making a difference on the black and gold. I'm a Pittsburgh fan myself, have family from the area, so loving to see this. And I don't know if you guys saw it. It went kind of viral. Mike Tomlin going over, and he's saying, that's why I go to Columbus, Ohio. That's why I go to Columbus, Ohio. So really,
he knows what's up.
Fired up for him. Interception that game.
He did, And
we can say something.
What's the Pickerington and Pittsburgh? What's that connection?
Well, just the P&P, man.
Oh, the P&P. I didn't know if there was a coach or something that I was missing. We're
Fun with phonetics. That's all we're doing.
The professor.
And 3 rookies on that list, too, which is impressive.
Yeah, so this was an opinion question. No, this was actually an IQ test. This was a trivia question, and you all failed. Jackson Smith and Jigbutt is the
wow.
This guy has maybe been the best receiver in the NFL this year with the Seattle Seahawks.
Yes.
He is bringing Sam Darnold back from the dead. The Vikings said, we don't want you, Sam. JSN has been tearing up without a real legitimate number 2, Cooper Kupp, not really been healthy most of the season. So JSN, shout out to him. He has been lights out. But I think what we've learned, guys, is there's a lot of Buckeyes dominating the league right now.
There is.
The Urban Ryan Day era has been unbelievable. All right, stay with us. We're going to hear our Hyundai keys to the game against the Bruins and give our final thoughts. Coming up, the football fever rolls on. Time now for our Hyundai dealers' keys to the game. Luke, I am your daddy. Luke Duncan is about to throw his first collegiate pass against the #1 defense. Thoughts and prayers. Rattle that man. This game's over early. On guard, Tegra Shabola, we talked about you. You've been criticized recently. Go out there and claim that job at guard. And finally, early exit. There is 1 goal this week against UCLA and next week against Rutgers. Get out of here healthy before it's time to go up north. I don't want to see anyone I've heard of playing football in the fourth quarter tonight. All right, guys, final thoughts here before the Buckeyes and the Bruins. Jay, let's start with you.
Dave, I wish you could have saw Jay's face, too. When you read
I do
those
like the
keys.
Luke, I am your daddy.
Yeah, I could have gone father.
true.
I could have gone father. We're
No,
edgy.
you did it the right way.
Yeah.
So, Buckeyes, this is a do your job game. Go
Yeah.
out there, handle your business. There's nothing magical about this game other than, as Dave said, you expect to see a lot of guys get a lot of reps. And I'm talking about going deep into the depth chart in a night game against just a team that is really on the downswing of their season without the best player on their team. This should be a no-brainer for the Buckeyes. Keep rolling because there's a lot of football to be played.
This is the epitome of the team goes as your leadership goes. And when there is no profound, definitive leader in your program, in your organization, I think it's going to show out on the field. Ohio State's going to dominate, and I hope Ryan Day releases the hounds and just let these guys play.
Well, Ohio State's defense is going to eat today. Julian Sayin should add to his Heisman season in his campaign. And, I think that's it. They're going to do their job.
Special teams will score today.
Oh, and
I will say that.
a good game to build depth, too.
Special teams being special. Love to see us continue to get better at running the football. We're going to need that down the stretch.
Good point.
And guys, I just want to give a shout out to the family of Luke Duncan. Look, today is not going to be what you want, all right? It's your first ever collegiate pass. He's going to try to hand it off a lot today. I'm afraid the game script's going to go away from him. Guys, I think it's going to get ugly today.
Well, hopefully he just leaves healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
Become a
Let's just
parent,
all
that's
get
all
out
I'm
of here
hoping for.
healthy and move on to next week against Rutgers. That'll do it for us on this edition of The Football Fever. Buckeyes and Bruins post-game tonight at 11.
Go Bucks!
Go Bucks.